Hey, it's James from survivalpunk.com. Back with another episode. We haven't done that in a while. Today we're going to talk about real world fire starting. I really wanted to have a survivally based topic, not a bullshit. James is going to just talk about bullshit, and fire starting is up there. And you probably think, James, I can start a fire with my fucking eyes closed. Well, yeah. Everybody says that. And I've seen and I've experienced lots of times where it just doesn't work. So we're going to talk about that today, about it not working, and then we'll talk about some things you can do to really overcome the hindrances. A lot of times Mother Nature will just be like, you're not doing it today, or you're not going to do it without earning it. So what can you do to really ensure that you're able to put up a good fight? Before we get into all that, though, let's take a listen to our morning theme music. And we're back. I'm excited. Tomorrow I have my rheumatologist appointment, and hopefully via the blood work and x-rays, this lady's expertise, hopefully she's like, yep, I totally know what the fuck is wrong with you. And this is how we can fix it, because I have failed at it. And then I can share with you guys. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about fire. You're probably thinking, James, I know how to start a fire. I'm a survivalist, you dumb fuck. Of course I can start a fire. Think about it, and I'm sure you can think of a time that you went to start a fire and you really had to earn that fire. You watch survivalists on YouTube start fires, and most of the time, the video is edited, the conditions are optimized so that they look great. They go out there, they do a hand drill, they do a bow drill, they do a fire plow, they use tinder, they use flint and steel. They go out there and they fucking whip out a fire, and it looks easy. And some of you think, oh, I watched the video, I saw how it's done, I'm good. You are not good. I have yet to ever successfully make a hand drill fire, and I have tried several times. I think just to do it, I think I'm gonna just optimize every single fucking part of it. Perfect tinder, perfect everything, just to finally be like, yep, I made a fire from a hand drill. I got real close one time. It was the transitioning the Ember to the bundle. I just couldn't maintain the flame. I got an Ember, I put it in the bird's nest, and I had some flames come up, and then it just didn't take. So I've been close. It's also one of those things where you only get so many tries. If you do it like every fucking day, obviously you will build up your hands to be calloused monsters. But until then, if you keep trying too long, you will just shred your hands. And I've absolutely gotten blisters multiple times. So what I'm saying on YouTube is they are not at all working with difficult situations, i.e. they're not using damp tinder, they're not using unoptimized material, right? When you're making a hand drill or a bow drill, there is definitely better material for the spindle, better material for the hearth. Sometimes, though, when you just walk out into the woods, you just got to use what you got. And maybe you'll get a fire, and maybe you won't. I really feel like if you watch YouTube, you're going to see the successes. You're going to see people that edit it and only will post and show, yes, they made fire. If you go watch some, air quotes, survival reality shows, you will see in the real world, it is not that easy. You will have seasoned veterans out there trying to make primitive fire and failing. And they meticulously try to find the right materials. Sometimes, though, in nature, those are hard or impossible to find, and you really have to fucking work for it, right? You have to know where you can find dry materials, especially if you're in a humid or rainy place. You know how hard it is to start a fire in a rainforest? I've seen it. Obviously, I've never been to a rainforest. But Tennessee is like 90% humidity most of the year. So we have dealt with some of this. I know one time, at least one time, me and another survivalist were at a property and we were trying to start a fire in a burn barrel to burn trash and bullshit. Both of us, survivalists, know what we're fucking doing. Had things to start a fire with, like a lighter and stuff, right? Trying to get the bullshit material to ignite was actually a fucking challenge. And, you know, we kind of commented on it. We're like, man, how bad is it when two survivalists can't start a fucking fire? Some of this comes from familiarity, laziness. And what I mean is, when you're really, really knowledgeable and experienced at something, sometimes you will get lazy and cut corners. And you'll kind of go on autopilot, right? You'll be like, yeah, I know what to do. And you'll just kind of haphazardly try to do it. You will just do the bare minimum, right? You'll just take out your lighter and you'll try to light the corner of a damp piece of material until it finally fucking goes. Instead of properly building a structure to start a fire from. Instead of really optimizing, instead of giving you all the best chances, you'll just try for a while to be lazy and start the fire. Sometimes it works. I'm not going to say it doesn't. Sometimes it works. If the universe is smiling upon you that day, your shit will catch fire and burn, and you will have a fire. Let's make sure I'm still recording. Yes. And that really feeds into the laziness, right? If you try to make a fire, low effort, the next time you go to make a fire, you are also going to be lazy. And this will continue for a while until Mother Nature just slaps you around and calls you a bitch. Generally, at some point when you're trying and it's not working, you'll be like, okay, I'm not respecting the fire and I need to step back and put in the effort and do this right. We've all been there. Or if you're in a rush, right? I gotta get this fire going. The sun's going down. We gotta get dinner going. Like, you gotta get this shit done. So then it's like lazy and rushy. It's a terrible combination. It does work sometimes, though. The other thing is, you may be able to get away with being lazy if you shock and awe Mother Nature. This can get dangerous, right? You're trying to start a fire, you're low on time, you didn't build a proper structure, you've just kind of lumped shit up, and you want that shit to burn. One, don't go pouring gasoline on shit. It is I am the last person to talk about safety precautions. The last. OSHA probably has a file with my name on it. This motherfucker. But even I know to respect gasoline. I've used it. I don't know if I'll use it again. But there's too many horror stories of people trying to start fires with gasoline. Gasoline doesn't really burn as much as it explodes. Sometimes you can get it to ignite, but gas wants to explode and burn. Too many horror stories. People disfigured for life for starting fires with gasoline. There are safer and better options. Do those instead. Charcoal fire starter is even safer. Trying to start a fire, you squirt that shit on there, start your fire. I've used alcohol, just kind of spraying on fire to really get it going. It's safer than gasoline. I've used, if you take cooking oil or even like pan spray, like Pam, and you spray newspaper with it and crumple it up into a ball, that will burn a fairly long time. That's vegetable oil and newspapers is how I start my charcoal chimneys. 3 pieces of newspaper soaked in vegetable oil will start a chimney basically every time. Fire's fickle though, and sometimes it will still say no. But I'd say like 99% of the time, 3 pieces of newspaper soaked in vegetable oil will do the trick. And I will usually just grab a stack of the free newspapers. In our town, it's called like the Peddler or something. I'll just grab a handful of those for the summer and just use those. You could go buy a newspaper. For the most part, like one Sunday newspaper should last you the summer. I just get the free ones. Like 10. Another thing that you can do, obviously, is Vaseline soaked cotton balls do a fantastic job of starting a fire. They will burn a long time. They will allow you to having flame going for more time will almost always alleviate your issues. Vaseline or coconut oil soaked items will burn for a long time. Because I have in the past used cotton face pads. They're flat. They're like Oxy Noxzema pads, right? But they're just cotton. You soak them in coconut oil, and then if you really want to go extra, you can dip them into paraffin, and that combination will burn a long time. You'll get yourself a ton of working time. So much so that often you will not need the whole pad, or you will not need to let it burn forever. There have been definitely times where it burns for so fucking long, I'm able to pull it out and put it out and use it again later. It does. It burns that well. Somewhere on my YouTube channel, I have a super old comparison video that I shot of Vaseline and coconut oil and something else as a burn timer, and coconut oil in that particular test outperformed the Vaseline. So I also like that the coconut oil has extra uses. So if you're out camping and you have cookware, you can take your coconut oil soaked cotton balls and rub your cookware to grease your pan, and it works great. They make a lot of other. You absolutely, if you go into nature and you find standing deadwood, that's going to be your best bet, especially the inner core. The outside might be damp. If it's deadwood and it's standing, it'll probably be your best bet. If you find deadwood that's laying down, it may be rotted through and through. If it's not on the ground, if it died and stood up and has had time to dry out, you probably can find dry parts of it. A lot of times, processing to the inner part of that, you're going to find your driest material. Because even if it's been rained on, it hasn't soaked through completely always. If it's on the ground, it's probably not going to be good, though. You definitely want to find something standing or leaning, not on the ground. That's going to be bad. It's usually going to be rotted, punky wood through and through, and that's not going to be a good fire starter. And different trees have different results. If you can find a dead cedar tree, that is probably going to be some of your best material to start a fire with. But there are so many products out there you can get to start a fire. Having a good ferrocerium rod is great. You want to get the bigger ones and not the cheapest ones. I bought my wife one for like Christmas when she was really into like starting primitive fires, not just burning shit. She's not a pyromaniac. It wasn't the bestest, highest quality one, and the rod kept coming out. It was a skinnier rod, and it kept coming out. We tried to like glue it back in. It never really was great though. So for your bug out bags, probably best to not super cheap out on the ferro rod. And they make really, really skinny ones. I'm not opposed to the magnesium blocks with the ferrocerium. The magnesium can really do a good job to help you start a fire. Char cloth is another great one to make and to have for starting fires. A lot of these you're going to need, like I said, there are days that you have to earn your fire. And the more tools you have in your quiver, the better your chances of starting a fire are. If you don't have anything and you're just trying to brute force way you're through it, you might not make it. You might just be like, fuck it, I quit. I mean, sometimes you have to do insane things like pull out the blowtorch until you get a piece of wood fully started and it's going to be self-sustaining at that point. But having long burning fire tinders tends to be your best bet. You can get one of those going and have it just keep burning for like 10 minutes. For the most part, it's going to take care of your problems. And especially if you stand over it and baby it. And with that, this has been James from SurvivalPunk.com. DIY to survive, you guys.